Senator from New Jersey.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I rise to discuss a troubling issue that's plagued our political debate for many years and now has come to a head, and I can't stay silent any longer. We so much admire the eagle, the bird of strength, the bird that portrays the courage of America, the willingness to support our country no matter what the cost. That's what the eagle says to me. And at times, it's been an endangered species. But there's another bird I want to talk about today. That bird is called, in my view, the chickenhawk. The chickenhawk. There is such a bird, but usually it's the hawk chasing the chicken. But now I want to talk about the chicken that really chases the hawk. Those of us who answered our nation's call for military service at wartime have not grandstanded on that issue. We served our country, and frankly, many of my colleagues who answered the call are not always willing to talk about their experiences. But now I see a disturbing trend from the other side of the political aisle. More and more senators in this body are tagged as lax on national security or homeland security or support for the military because of votes they took against problematic defense bills over the years. Mr. President, for years the charge coming from across the aisle is that Democrats are somehow or other less patriotic, less supportive of defense, and it's a shameful and grotesque charge. In my view, these charges typically come from people who I would simply call chicken hawks. Now, my definition of a chicken hawk is someone who talks tough on national defense and military issues, casts aspersion on others who might disagree in a vote, but when they had a chance to serve, they weren't there. And now they're attacking the senator from Massachusetts for opposing bloated or poorly designed defense bills. Is it known how much courage it takes to vote against a bad defense authorization or appropriations bill? We all know that it takes a lot of political courage because even if the bill contains wasteful and damaging provisions, the vote can be twisted by your opponents. But when faced with a bad defense bill, what do the chicken hawks do? They take the easy road. They fly the easy route. They always vote for it no matter what it says. How much courage does it take to vote for a bad defense bill? None. Zero. It's the easy thing to do. Our colleague, the distinguished junior senator from Massachusetts, is being attacked this week by the other side of the aisle as being weak on support for the military and compromising the defense of our country. And I say shame on them who impugn the patriotism of those who supported their country's call to duty and paid for it with injuries resulting from their obedience to that call. In my view, that's the cry of the chicken hawk who has no idea what it means to have the courage to put your life at risk to defend your country and its ideals. But the senator from Massachusetts knows it all too well. When our country went to war in Southeast Asia, the senator from Massachusetts enlisted in the Navy. He requested to be sent to Vietnam to fight for his country, and he did that. For his heroic service in Vietnam, the senator from Massachusetts won the Silver Star, the Bronze Star, 3 Purple Hearts. That means he was wounded 3 times. It's a miracle that he's still alive. The Combat Action Ribbon, the Navy Presidential Unit Citation, the Navy Unit Commendation Ribbon. The list goes on, the National Defense Service Medal, the Vietnam Service Medal, and the Vietnam Campaign Medal. How dare they challenge his commitment to our defense, his patriotism. The senator's actions took courage. It's the same courage that the senator showed when he refused to vote for defense bills merely because they were defense bills. As a man who's seen a battlefield, he has a keen understanding of military needs and military policy, and he voted accordingly. He actually did what his constituents sent him here to do: evaluate legislation on its merits and vote with your conscience and your obligation to our citizens. Did it take courage? Of course. Integrity? Of course. Was it an easy thing to do? Absolutely not. The easy thing to do would be to simply vote for all the defense bills, no matter what it says inside them, and pretend that these votes are the real measure of patriotism. That's what the Chickenhawks do. That's the easy road. It's the same easy road we see when someone files for student deferments and then claims an old football injury should prevent him from fighting for his country. Only a Chickenhawk would attack a political rival that lost 3 limbs in Vietnam as being soft on defense. And so I say to my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, we're not going to put up with these insinuations that attack our patriotism, our support for our troops anymore, because real patriotism and real support for our nation's defense should not be judged on whether we ignore our constitutional duty and rubber stamp legislation. Real patriotism and support for the defense of this country has to do with answering the call. In my view, as a fellow veteran, the senator from Massachusetts not only answered the call to fight for his country, but also to perform his duty and judge legislation on its merits. Mr. President, I served in the Army. It doesn't mean that I should approve $500 toilet seats or poorly designed military equipment that is being procured simply because of political influence. In fact, I believe that because I served, I have the duty to men and women who are now in the military to make sure that our military is strong and as free from waste and corruption as possible, and that our military men and women are protected to the fullest extent possible during their service, and that when they're veterans, to provide for their health care needs and other services without question. Our job is to think as senators and not to bow to everything defense contractors or Pentagon officials want. The senator from Massachusetts has voted for plenty of defense spending increases, but he has also voted to prevent bad programs from moving forward. He does his duty to the country and to his constituents. The way I see it, the President and his proxies are attempting to bring American politics back to the days of dirty tricks. We saw it in 2000, not just against Al Gore, but also against the most serious Republican challenger, the senator from Arizona. The Bush campaign coordinated attacks on the senator from Arizona that questioned his commitment to our troops. Outrageous. Attack on a man who not only fought for this nation, but spent years as a prisoner of war. And they didn't stop there. They even attacked the senator's family. It was a new low in modern American campaigning. Mr. President, I want the administration and its allies in Congress to know that we're not going to put up with these despicable insinuations and dirty campaigning. From now on, they question our commitment to our troops and the defense of this nation at their own peril. And we saw just the other day, I think it was yesterday, that in a speech that was made in front of a group that was publicly televised, that those members of the NEA, National Education Association, who stick up for the quality of our teachers, for their ability to earn a living, for the ability to take the courses they need to present themselves, to talk about them as terrorists, that's not different than the Chickenhawk line I just talked about. With that, I yield the floor.